much more comfortable night here in Cincinnati as the Reds and the Pirates get together to wrap up this four-game series with the Reds needing a win to split the set. Pittsburgh and Cincinnati baseball from GABP on Fox Sports Ohio. And hi, everyone, and welcome to Reds Baseball and our Champion Windows broadcast booth. I'm Jim Couch, along with Chris Welsh. Well, Chris, yesterday the Reds did lose the game, the third game of the series, but they showed a lot of spunk. They came back from a 4-0 deficit, came back later from a 6-5 deficit.
You know, Jim, that's really got to give the starting pitcher a lot of confidence when you know you've got the kind of team playing for you that is, hey, you're down early on, don't worry about it. We'll swing the bat, we're going to come back, just hold them right there. That was their message to Edinson Volquez yesterday when he gave up a couple of home runs to start the ball game off. The Reds came roaring back. This is a team that really believes in themselves.
As we said, the Reds trying to get the victory in this game to try to split this four-game series. One of the good things that the Pirates have done, they're doing a little bit more running this year. We'll talk more about that when we come back. It is a nice Monday night for baseball here in Cincinnati. The sun was shining here most of the day, and it's baseball-like temperatures as we approach game time. For more on the weather, let's go to Tim Hedrick from WKRC-TV.
There's a better chance of you staying dry than getting wet tonight, and temperatures should be pleasant. 69 down to 66, down to 64. Let's get 7 sharp innings out of our starter tonight, shall we? Give him the old knuckle curve. Wow.
let's hope Tim is correct, because the left-hander on the mound tonight, Travis Wood, has pitched pretty well, Chris.
Well, he's got more to worry about than just pitching well. He's got to worry about this new idea of the Pittsburgh Pirates trying to run the bases. They're running like wild men. We haven't seen the Pirates running around like this in a long time, but that's a new philosophy of Clint Hurdle, their first-year manager here, and they've got them running. The stolen bases were integral in the first couple of games in this series, but against Travis Wood, it may not be that big of a deal. In fact, in his career, he has never had a stolen base attempt. Consequently, he's never had a successful stolen base against him. 20 starts overall, 17 of them last year, 3 this year, 121 innings, and he shuts down the running game just about as well as anybody in all the game of baseball.
Well, he's made one start against the Pirates in his career. That was a win. Travis goes for victory number 2 here tonight.
On Fox Sports Ohio is brought to you by State Farm. State Farm agents are there when you need them. Find an agent or get a quote at statefarm.com. By your local Ford dealer. Drive one. By Cincinnati USA. Come for the Reds, stay for more fun. Book your trip at cincinnatiusa.com. And by Skyline Chili. When you're feeling good and hungry, it's Skyline time.
Pirates and the Reds, final game of this 4-game series here at Great American Ballpark. Reds looking for the victory, and let's see what the Pirate lineup looked like tonight. Andrew McCutchen, Jose Tabata, and a first start for Matt Diaz in this series. Neil Walker, then Steven Pierce. He's starting for the first time as well. Lyle Overbay dropped down to the number 6 spot. Then Chris Snyder, Ronnie Cedeno, and Kevin Correa. We are underway just a little bit early here from the ballpark as Andrew McCutchen leads things off against the left-hander Travis Wood. Big day yesterday for this right-handed hitting center fielder of the Pirates. Led off the game with a home run. Had 2 other hits later in the game. In fact, was on base all 5 times in yesterday's game. And if you go back 2 plate appearances into Saturday, he's been on base 7 straight plate appearances. McCutchen comes into the game hitting .250. 3 homers, 8 RBIs. He hit that home run to start the game yesterday against Edinson Volquez, marking the 2nd time, of course, this year, counting opening day, that Volquez has been victimized by not 1 but 2 home runs to start the game. Nice pick by Votto. He'll find it in time. Race. Got him at first.
Good thing Travis Wood is among one of the fastest players on this Reds ball club, because that ball looked like it was going to be fielded cleanly by Joey Votto. And you have a hesitation out of Wood. This is very natural. He thinks, well, he's got it, no problem. But he stops and then starts it up again. That's a tough thing to do when you're going to try to race Andrew McCutchen down the line. He is one of the speediest in the league. But I'll tell you what, as far as pitchers go, Travis Wood can hold his own on the racetrack with anybody.
You can see Ron Culpa, the first base umpire, right on top of it making the play. And so Travis Wood, who had just an extraordinary start against the Pirates last year, and he's pitched very well in 2 of the 3 starts this year, works now to Jose Tabata.
You know, we're going to take another look at this. Wood looks, stops, and then, uh-oh, I better get going. Meanwhile, you see Andrew McCutchen beaming down the line like he can. And I'll tell you what, that might be a pretty good leg race right there. Travis Wood, Andrew McCutchen, Drew Stubbs. Worst he could do is third.
Throw Billy Hamilton in there.
Well, Billy Hamilton's in the minor league. We'll wait till he gets up here before he can do anything.
Okay.
But he can scoot. There's no question about that.
Jose Tabata hitting .310 with 3 home runs, 4 RBIs. He's had a good series as well. 5 out of 15. A home run series really on both sides. 13 total in this series. 5 by the Pirates, 8 by the Reds. Reds come in first in the National League in homers with 22. The Pirates have hit 14 this season.
You know, Jim, that play by Travis Wood, and then we just showed you Andrew McCutchen smiling in the Pirates dugout. That should be a lesson for young pitchers, that even if you think that the first baseman has it, run on over there anyway. Don't stop. Last time I did that was in spring training when I was with the San Diego Padres. I hesitated. I got to the bag at the same time Don Baylor did, who decided to slide feet first into first base, ended up breaking my foot. I was on the disabled list. So if I had not been late covering the bag, none of that would have happened.
Is that the rest of the story after the baseball card yesterday?
Yeah, that is. There's a baseball card that was picture taken that same day. Every time I look at that card or sign it, I wince a little bit.
Wow. That's Paul Harvey stuff right there.
Actually, the rest of the story is I didn't know I had a broken foot. I walked back to the mound. Baylor was safe. Walked back to the mound. Bases loaded. I struck out Brian Downing as the next batter. Then when I went to run off the mound, when I put my weight on the ball of my foot, it popped the bone open, and that's when I ended up realizing I had something wrong with my foot. So
that's a good graphic right there.
That is the rest of the story there, and we'll leave it at that.
Tabata and Wood battling here. Interesting to note that this Pirates team has not done a very good job this year at all against left-handers. They've only scored 3 runs against them, and as a team against southpaws, hitting only 156. First base runner of this game is Tabata with a walk. Let's take a look at our 4 defensive look at the Cincinnati Reds. Behind Travis Wood, Gomes, Stubbs, and Bruce. They've been out there the entire series. On the infield, Roland and Renteria. He's giving Giannis a break tonight. Cairo and Votto and Wood and Hannigan make up the battery. Interesting to note that Miguel Cairo in there for the 4th consecutive game at second base. Dusty Baker noting in his pregame media meeting that Brandon Phillips still feeling a little something in that groin area when he was going through his paces today, trying to get ready for the game. Good piece of hitting behind the runner there by Diaz, and look at the turn by Tabata, hustling over to third, and he gets in there ahead of the throw of Jay Bruce.
But you can't do it much better than that if you're Matt Diaz. He just takes a little pitch on the outer part of the plate, feeds right into what Travis Wood gives him, and there's a big opening over there, obviously, because Diaz is mainly a pull hitter. So they play him to go the other way. He goes the other way, and first and third, even a strong throw from Jay Bruce can't get him at third base.
So a first inning opportunity presents itself again for Pittsburgh after getting 4 in the first yesterday. They jumped in front in that game. They also jumped in front on Friday. That was in the second, so they're trying to score first for the 3rd time in 4 games here in Cincinnati. Switch hitting Neil Walker.
made my way down to the Pirates locker room and clubhouse before the game today, talking to some of their guys, and they're just so elated to have already won several games on the road this year. Last year they won a total all year long of only 17 games on the road. It was just a drought for them when they got away from Pittsburgh. And coming into Cincinnati, winning the first 2 out of the 3 in this series, having already taken a series in St. Louis. I mean, these guys have confidence like they have not had in years and years. A lot of it comes from that guy, Clint Hurdle.
Well, they're 6-3 on the road entering tonight's game, but how about this opposite side? 1-5 at PNC Park. General rule of thumb, well, you want to win 3/4 of your games at home, at least split your games on the road. Broken bat's going to give the Pirates the lead. There goes the runner over to third. That is Diaz. Tabata scores. Walker gets the 12th RBI of the season for him. Pittsburgh scores in the first.
Well, just because you make a good pitch doesn't mean you're going to always get a good result. Travis Wood comes right in on the hands of Neil Walker and saws him off, but it's enough of a quail to get in a run and then go first to third with Matt Diaz.
Well, it just goes to show you with both those hits, you don't need to hit it hard to get a good hit.
But you put it in play. And fortunately, the other end of the bat, the bat head end, which had a jagged end on it, did fall into the stands, did not injure anybody, so everybody's okay on that. But man, oh man, they're finding every which way you can to get a run here in the first inning.
Here's Steve Pearce. He makes his first start of this series. Like Matt Diaz earlier, Pearce has appeared twice. He's 0 for 2 coming off the bench.
You know, when you watch Travis Wood pitch, you look at the radar gun, he's throwing 88 to 90, 91 miles an hour, occasionally a 92 on a real good day. But it does seem like he throws faster than that. You know, when you watch him pitch and you watch how the hitter reacts, the ball just gets on the hitter much quicker than it seems to.
You made a good comparison earlier to Ron Guidry.
Well, I played a little bit with Ron Guidry when I was in the Major League spring training camps with the New York Yankees. And he was a guy that always amazed me. He was a wiry kind of guy, not big, not necessarily bulging muscles, but he could really whip that ball in there, you know, in the low to mid 90s. And he had a very quick arm action, too. Used his legs just with perfect timing. And Travis Wood does the same thing. What Wood has that Ron Guidry doesn't have is just a real good changeup. I mean, the kind of changeup that you can tell a hitter that it's coming and he wouldn't be able to hit it. Now, what Ron Guidry had that Wood doesn't have is one of the best sliders in the history of left-handers.
Steve Pearce looking for his first RBI of the year as he stands in there. Hasn't had a whole lot of playing time this year. 3 out of 13 of those 13 at bats, 7 has been as a pinch hitter.
But Travis is looking for a ground ball double play. Thought he might get one on that one. The pitch that was down. And you know, last year he threw in 17 starts a total of 6 ground ball double plays. Already in 3 starts this year he has 2. So he's learned to get the ball down a little bit better.
RBI base hit for Pearce gives him his first run batted into the year, and that was a solid single into left field. So 4 straight Pirates have reached here in the first.
Well, you get behind in the count and you're pretty much looking for a fastball, and that's what he gets right here. Steve Pearce, a good, kind of a good serviceable player, and he gets a pitch out over the plate and just lines a nice sharp line drive to pick up a base hit.
This Pittsburgh team came into this series dead last in the National League in runs scored. They scored 15 times going into tonight's game, jumping up to 14th. They don't look like a team that has struggled offensively, do they?
Well, they haven't in this series, and I don't think they'll struggle nearly as much this year as they have in years past. I think some of the additions that they've made to this team, like the guy in the batter's box right now, Lyle Overbay, will really help them. I mean, he's one of the few guys that will play against lefties and righties. the only true left-handed hitter that they've got in the lineup.
Overbay drops from 3rd in the batting order, where he has been the first 3 games of the series, down to 6th today. He is 1 out of 16 against lefties so far this year, and at .228 overall. Talk about that start that Wood made last year against the Pirates. It was out there on the 2nd of August. 7 innings, no runs, 2 hits in a 4-0 Reds win. Beat Ross Ohlendorf in that one.
Travis Wood, like a lot of pitchers, will grip the ball with his most difficult pitch to grip. And in his case, it's a changeup. You see how he holds it right there in his hand? That's a modified circle change. And when he gets his hand into the glove, then he'll change it from there to whatever pitch he wants. But in case Ryan Hannigan calls a changeup, you've already got it gripped, rather than try to fool for it in your glove and maybe tip your hand to the hitter. A lot of guys who throw splitters, you'll see him hold that ball in a split finger grip, because that's one you give away when you try to cram your finger around the ball and it's in the glove. Hitter sees you kind of fussing with it a little bit, and he can guess along with you that here comes a splitter. They'll try to get every advantage they can, those hitters.
How dare they, right?
Got to figure out a way to get one up on them. Good slider right here might be the trick.
Overbay hanging in there against the lefty Wood. Here we go with another high pitch count first inning.
And very unusual, actually, for Travis Wood to have high pitch counts. He's a guy like his counterpart tonight, Kevin Correa, who pitches to contact. These guys came into the ball game averaging fewer than 14 pitches per inning. So this is way over his average. There's a slider. Well, enough fastballs and having Lyle Overbay spoil him. He finally took a little bit off that pitch, worked it down and away, and after you see several fastballs coming into the same zone, Overbay just could not lay off.
So here's Chris Snyder playing in only his 4th game of the year, 3rd of this series. Started the year with a lower back pain, is on the disabled list.
That's the other one of Travis Wood's breaking pitches right there. The slow breaker is the curveball. That'll come in the low 70s as far as the miles per hour. The harder breaking ball will be in the high 70s and in the 80s. That'll be the slider.
Stubbs can't get it. That's going to produce another run. His throw is cut off. Sliding across is Neil Walker. 4 hits, all singles here in the first, and a 3-run first for the Bucks.
Hey, the Pirates are just trying to put the bat on the ball, and they're doing a good job of it. Chris Snyder gets a fastball after Travis misses with a first pitch curveball. So Snyder's thinking, I'm getting a heater right here. He gets one, puts a good swing on it. Steve Pearce put a good swing on it. We've seen one little duck squirt over there by Neil Walker, but other than that, the Pirates are just doing what they feel comfortable doing, which is put the ball in play.
Here's Brian Price, pitching coach of the Reds, out to the mound to talk with his battery.
Well, he's got too much road work in from the mound to the dugout in this series.
Guys shaking their heads saying, are you kidding me? These first innings should not be going like this. So Travis Wood will turn his attention now to the shortstop Ronnie Cedeno, who becomes the 8th man come to the plate for the Pirates in the first after they sent 9 men or hit around in the first inning yesterday. Cedeno at 167. Travis just not getting ahead of these hitters here in the first. Walk, 3 singles, a strikeout, and another single has produced 3 Pirate runs in the first. And it sounded like Cedeno broke his bat, and indeed he did, so back to the dugout he goes. Cedeno fouls it away, and so like the rest of the Pirates, making Travis Wood work here in the first. His pitch count all the way up to 36. We saw a 44 pitch first inning by Volquez in his second start. Here's Wood approaching 40 in this one.
Well, the pitch count certainly is a factor, especially as you get later in the game, Jim. But I can tell you one thing, having seen Dusty Baker go through this before, first inning problems with Edinson Volquez every time out, a couple of others pitchers from now and then, he's more worried about the score up here on the top of your corner. That's the number he's worried about, and not necessarily the pitch count. He said, bring my lineup in here, see if we can get back on the board.
Gomes on the run, and he can't get it. It's out of play.
What we really haven't seen Travis use a lot of today is his changeup.
We saw Volquez use it very effectively yesterday.
Well, after he got past the first inning and finally got his sea legs under him, so to say. And that was the changeup was really working very well for Travis Wood during his last start, that out in San Diego.
That was the 40th pitch by Wood. Just taking a look at this inning. Pittsburgh has had 3 hits already in this inning with runners in scoring position after picking up only 5 in the first 3 games of the series. Battle of attrition here. Who's going to win it, Cedeno or Wood? In the air. Roos is there, and Travis Wood gets it, and the inning is over. But Pittsburgh scores 3 times in inning 1. 3-0 over the Reds. At this point in time, let's send it downstairs to Jim Day.
In the press box, Jim Kelch. Today, Mike Leake, the 23-year-old pitcher, was arrested for alleged petty theft at a downtown department store. Two statements have just been released from the Reds. I'll read them verbatim. Statement from the Cincinnati Reds, quote, "On behalf of the Cincinnati Reds organization, at this time we are advised not to publicly address this matter because of the pending legal proceedings. However, we do not condone behavior of the type alleged, which is wholly inconsistent with the principles of this organization and our community, and it's detrimental to the positive direction we seek to follow. When the legal process has been completed, we will handle this matter internally," end quote. There's also a statement on behalf of Reds pitcher Mike Leake. It reads like this, quote, "Today, Mike Leake was arrested on a misdemeanor charge of theft from the Macy's store downtown. Right now, he has been advised by his attorney to offer no further statements on this matter. This case will proceed in the justice system where Mike's story will be told. Until that time, there will be nothing further from Mike on this episode until the court proceedings have concluded. However, Mike wishes to apologize to his family, the fans, Mr. Castellini, Walt, Dusty, his teammates, and the entire Reds organization for this distraction," end quote. We will leave it at that.
All right, Jim Day. Meanwhile, on the field, Kevin Correa worked for the Pirates against Drew Stubbs. To be followed by Edgar Renteria, Joey Votto here in the first. Edge of the grass, Pierce makes the play and throws the speedy Stubbs out. Here's the Reds lineup for this game, facing the right-hander Correa. Stubbs, Renteria up at the number 2 spot at short, then Votto, Roland, Gomes, and Bruce. Cairo making his 4th straight start at second, then Hannigan, then Travis Wood.
Kevin Correa makes his 4th start of the year, the 5th game overall. He pitched 1 inning as a reliever so far. He's got a pretty nice earned run average and off to a very good start. Signed a 2-year deal with the Pirates back in December. Young man that was raised in San Diego, down around the Point Loma area. Drafted by the Giants, made the Giants in the big leagues in 2003, and was kind of up and down with them throughout his career before he went to the Padres and then signed this deal with the Pittsburgh Pirates.
He gets the leadoff man Stubbs, now works on Renteria. Correa, 30 years old, 6'3", 200-pounder.
And he's a guy that doesn't have any one particular pitch that you say, wow, that's off the charts. He's a very serviceable pitcher. We seem to use that word a lot when it comes to some of these Pittsburgh Pirate guys. Very much like Daniel McCutchen, the pitcher yesterday. He's a guy that'll work it around the strike zone a little bit. Pitch to contact for the most part. Has a slider that is a nice pitch that he throws to right-handers. It's more of a sweeping slider than it is a pitch that goes straight down and gets a lot of strikeouts. He'll use a changeup, but primarily that changeup reserved only for left-handers. And does little things. Covers first base nice. He has a good quick move to home. He tries to thwart the running game. Overall, just a pretty solid major league pitcher.
He gets the strikeout of Renteria for the 2nd out of the inning. And here's the forward defensive look at the Pittsburgh Pirates behind the right-hander Correa. Top of McCutchen, and Diaz getting his first start out in right field, replacing Garrett Jones. Pierce's first start at third. Cedeno, Walker, and Olave the rest of the infield. Kevin Correa throws to Chris Snyder. Trying to have a 1-2-3 first. We'll deal with Joey Votto.
Well, you see when Kevin Correa pitches against the Reds, he does a pretty good job. He did once last year as a member of the San Diego Padres, 5 innings of 3-run base, or 3-hit 2-run baseball, and then the year before that twice. So the right-hander that we've seen in Correa is a guy that just keeps coming after you. And this year, probably better than ever, he pitches to contact. A guy that is even better than Travis Wood as far as the number of pitches per inning. He averages about 13.4 pitches per inning. That's the 3rd least in the National League. So he's a very efficient guy out there.
And he has a 1-2-3 first, retiring Stubbs, Renteria, and Votto. Game storylines brought to you by Elk & Elk, serious lawyers for serious injuries.
Well, Joey Votto, we're going to explain a little bit how he has such great plate coverage. That pitch down and away still puts good wood on it. And the reason he's able to do that is Joey Votto hits the pitch away very late, and he gets his bat around early on the pitch inside. That gives him extremely good plate coverage. So you try to work him in and out and up and down. That doesn't always work with the National League reigning MVP.
Elk & Elk storyline, call 1-800-ELK-OHIO. Travis Wood back to work, inning 2. His counterpart, Kevin Correa. Lifts one down the right field side. Votto makes a nice play right in front of the tarpaulin roll. Go back to the top of the Pittsburgh order. A lot of concentration by Joey over there. Stands coming upon you, wall. Tarpaulin roll right there as well. Here's McCutchen. Beat, but just barely. A race to first by Travis Wood to start this game. Well, he had a big hit in the 8th inning yesterday afternoon. Homer in the first, a single in the second, but then his hit in the 8th scored Chris Snyder, broke the 6-6 tie, turned out to be the winning run in the game. McCutchen, one of the many that we talked about earlier on this Pirates club that not hit lefties very well. He's 0 for 7 against lefties this year. Tabata really was on deck, the only fellow at 4 out of 8. He's handled the southpaws so far in 2011.
You know, watching Travis Wood this evening, you know, I said last time out his changeup was his best pitch. Tonight, it seems like he's having a hard time finding a good release point with that pitch. Has not used it very much. Did get a strikeout, did get a fly ball, that is, out of Ronnie Cedeno to end the first inning. But he's staying with the hard stuff, and then he finally dots the corner right there with a nice fastball. He hasn't been missing by much, and he doesn't miss on that one, right on the black, and McCutchen can't pull the trigger.
So after an 8-batter first, he's looking for a 1-2-3 second. He disposes of Correa, and then McCutchen on that called third strike, and here's Tabata. Walked and scored in the first. Jim Joyce, the crew chief, the umpire, calling the balls and strikes. His name, of course, became much more recognizable last year with the Armando Galarraga issue and the non-perfect game.
You know, it's a shame that at a moment like that will unfortunately define for a lot of people the career of Jim Joyce, but throughout his course of his major league career, he's been one of the best umpires around. And there's no question about that. I mean, people that have been in the game will tell you that. Managers and players. He's a stand-up guy. He confronted the press and Galarraga after that. Couldn't ask him to do any more. Just a human error.
I don't know if it was right before or right after, but A poll had come out from the players voting him one of the top umpires in the game.
Yeah, he always has been.
Bruce chasing, won't get it. Tabata will get into second, standing with a 2-out double, so his dominance, at least this year, against left-handers continues. He's now 5 for 9 against southpaw.
Man, this guy really has impressed me in this series, Jose Tabata. He much better than he was last year when we saw him. This ball goes over the head of Jay Bruce. Jay Bruce is thinking, all right, I'm going to try to hold you to a single right there, but the ball caromed up and over his head. I mean, he leads the team and tied for the National League in stolen bases, does Tabata. Hits the ball the other way and with power. Nice looking young player.
Including a home run earlier in this series. He's now 6 out of 16 against the Reds in this 4-game set. He's at second with 2 out.
Just to go back to that trade we talked a little bit about yesterday with Jeff Karstens, who was a starting pitcher, but the 4 players that they got, the Pirates that is, from the New York Yankees, including Tabata and Ohlendorf and Karstens and who was the other? Steve Pearce?
Steve Pearce.
For Damaso Marte and Xavier Nady. Nady no longer with the Yankees, and Damaso Marte on the disabled list with the Yankees. That was a pretty shrewd deal the Pirates pulled.
Daniel McCutchen is the name.
McCutchen, yeah.
Right.
McCutchen is the one we're talking about. But Tabata, right? Tabata is the guy that, you know, the everyday player that has really swung it big time in balance for the Pirates in that deal.
Bruce chasing this ball, and he will run it down to retire the side. So the Pirates leave a runner, 3-0 Bucks after 1.5. Minutes before every game with the Emmy Award-winning Reds Live on Fox Sports Ohio. Join us this week as Jim Day, Jeff Porcaro break down the rematch with Arizona as the D-backs come to town for a 3-game set. That's Reds Live, presented by Ray St. Clair Roofing. Arizona be in town tomorrow night, Wednesday night, Thursday afternoon. Reds lost 2 out of 3 out there in their first road trip. Gomes gets it started. Pardon me, Roland gets it started. Gomes to follow, then Bruce here in the bottom of number 2. Roland has done a nice job against Correa in his career, 4 out of 7. A good job against the Pirates overall in his career. Hammers this one. McCutcheon is not going to get near that, and it bounces in for a ground rule double. A good start for the Reds here in the bottom of the second.
Well, they're down by 3. They don't have to get them all back in one inning, but it would be nice to see a crooked number on the board. This drive and up on the outer part of the strike zone, boy, he's a good high ball hitter, is Scott Rowland. Gets nice extension, keeps his head on the ball, doesn't pull off that ball one bit, and it was on the outer part of the plate, and he drives it on one hop on out of here.
Team leading 5th double of the year for Scott Rowland. Good start here in the bottom of the second for Johnny Gomes.
Of course, Gomes thinking about trying to get Scott Rowland over to third base.
He has 3 hits in this series, all home runs. That one right off the glove of Snyder, and that'll get Rowland to third without the benefit of Gomes.
And Gomes has got to be happy about that, because hitting the ball the other way on the ground, giving yourself up, is something that Johnny Gomes will do in a situation when necessary. But he'd much rather have that guy at third base 90 feet away where a fly ball can drive in another run. It's got to be a pass ball, right?
Indeed it is.
I'm wondering if he was just screened out a little bit by the bat level of Johnny Gomes, who pulled the bat back, and Snyder just didn't see it. Looks like he just caught it on the thumb. Boink.
That will not get the job done, as Pierce took a long time. Well, indeed it will. Scott Rowland leading away at third. Draw a first, a second, and a third look from Steve Pierce over there. And in the end, throws it away.
Well, these last 2 plays are a little more indicative of what we're used to seeing over the years with the Pittsburgh Pirates. Faux pas in the infield, bad catching. That time Steve Pierce just airmails that baby. Scott Rowland's got his attention, certainly. He's not really sure what to do right there. And when he does turn to throw to first base, he realizes that he has to rush the throw. You know, make your decision early on. Credit Rowland a little bit, and credit Steve Pierce for cramping up in the brain.
The Pirates have committed at least 1 error in each game of this series. Now have 5 overall. Here's Bruce representing, just like that, the tying run. No RBI for Gomes. Jay showing some signs as of late. Coming around 4 for 5 yesterday.
You see what Correa's trying to do to Jay Bruce now. You know, he knows that Jay Bruce has tremendous power, likes the ball up, even though down and in is a wheelhouse for him too. But he's taking a little bit off the last couple of pitches, running them down and away, hoping that Jay Bruce will roll over on it and get a little ground ball to the second baseman.
That 4-hit game yesterday tied a career high for the Reds right fielder.
Jay Bruce has been very conservative in his approach at the plate right here, not going up there swinging wildly. With his talent and his power, all he's got to do is be a little bit patient.
For 7 career-wise against Correa, Jay Bruce. Looking at Jay, left-handed hitting outfielder. Reminds us that the Reds made a move today. Jeremy Hermida has joined this team. Ron Francisco going on the disabled list. Saw Francisco leave that game late on Saturday, which was described after the game as a cramp in his left calf. Yesterday, Dusty said, yeah, more than a cramp. So Francisco on the DL with a strained left calf. Hermida doing very well, comes up from Louisville. Jared Burton, to make room on the 40-man roster, was on the 60-day DL. And Hermida, the former Florida Marlins player, where folks remember him more than anywhere else, in the big leagues now with the Reds. 10 games, he had 9 RBIs down at AAA. Including a big 3-run double in the bottom of the 8th yesterday afternoon, breaking a scoreless game down in Louisville. Hermida's 3-run double, part of a 6-4 Louisville win over Indianapolis in 13. Runner going. Bruce breaks his bat.
You know, Jeremy Hermida signed a minor league deal to come to the camp. No guarantees of ever making the big league team, but in talking to the coaching staff, including Dusty Baker, when we got them together, you know, after they signed Jeremy Hermida, I spent some time with Dusty on the Reds caravan, and they were all very excited that he would decided to sign with the Reds. He had offers from other ball clubs that would give him the same type of deal, but he looked around and said, you know what, I want to be part of this organization. And here he is, one of the first call-ups the Reds have had.
Three called to Bruce. He took it. He's out. That's the first out of the inning.
That's a nice set of pitching there by Kevin Correa. Finally got him with a changeup after setting him up with a fastball inside the previous pitch. It broke Bruce's bat and goes right there, feathers the corner, paints that bad boy with a little number 7 detail brush right on the black.
This is more important in terms of the transaction that they replaced a left-handed bat with a left-handed bat versus an infielder with an outfielder?
I think so. They've got enough infielders to go around. Edgar Renteria, Miguel Cairo, those are your 2 backup infielders. And, you know, you want a little bit of pop off the bench. You want a left-handed pop because you lose that when Juan Francisco goes down. And that's the reason I think that Hermida is the guy at the right time. It may have been Freddie Lewis had he been ready, but he's still down in Double-A nursing the recovery of that oblique muscle that he tore. That's a side muscle. I'm not even so sure that he's really tested that all that much right now. He's a ways away.
Yeah, just over the weekend they said he was going to go down there and probably spend the full 20 days rehabbing at Double-A.
Well, you know, nowadays guys don't worry about that quite as much as they used to. They get big league time while they're down there. They're getting their big league salary while they're down there. But of course, when you're making big league cash playing in Double-A, you take the team out to dinner a few times a week.
You're expected to buy the spread in the clubhouse after the game.
You're darn right you are, and you do.
And those guys appreciate it, don't they?
Well, you know what? When you're making about $16 a day in meal money, and some big leaguer comes down with $1 million salary, time to get into those pockets.
Miguel Cairo making his 4th straight start at second base.
Don't get any idea there, Jim Couch, because it does not apply to broadcasters. As you've already found out from Marty. Homer Bailey, he pitched yesterday down there with Rick Sweet. He had a good outing, too. 5 innings, couple of hits, no runs, dominated, spotted up his fastball, a couple of strikeouts. Devin Mesoraco, who caught him, really liked what he saw. I imagine Bailey will make one more start down there, then he'll deem himself ready to come on up.
"62 pitches in that outing yesterday and only 1 walk." Said after the game, and when I talked to him then today, very happy with his control yesterday. McCutchen to his right has it. 2 out. Cueto threw down there Saturday. Homer Bailey yesterday. Cueto will come back and start again on the 21st. Bailey on the 22nd. But all along, they thought Bailey would be the guy to be ready first.
Yeah, I was surprised at that, really, because when they were both injured about the same time, you know, coming out of spring training, it seemed like Johnny Cueto's injury wasn't as severe. And then Homer came down with the impingement, and I guess that just went away. So that's a good feeling.
Number 8 hitter in the Reds lineup, Ryan Hannigan, trying to move Gomes along. He was there with nobody out on the throwing error by Pierce. He's now over there with 2 out. Reds have produced 1 thus far in this inning. hard, but unfortunately right at Tabata to end the Reds' second. They get a run, leave a runner, trail by 2 after 2.
Get their jumps, they're gonna get their bags. They're just that fast. At least a couple of them. But we try and make sure they don't get that comfortable out there, and just it's basically just disrupting timing and hopefully giving me a chance.
Pittsburgh 5 of 6 in stolen bases in this series thus far. Hannigan talking about the job that the Pirates have done in the stolen base department. They're right near the top in the league with 13. The Reds are second with 15, and the Pirates are right behind them. And Andrew McCutchen, although he only has one this year, one of the top base stealers on this Pirates team. And Jose Tabata tied for the league lead going into tonight's game with 8. Neil Walker will lead off here in the third. RBI single his first time. Travis has walked 1, fanned 2 through the first 2 innings, giving the Reds 3 runs on 5 hits. Pardon me, giving the Pirates 3 runs on 5 hits. Playable for Gomes. Out number 1, inning number 3. Join FoxSportsOhio.com's Hall of Fame baseball writer Hal McCoy right now for a live in-game chat. Plus, check out Hal's article about the expectations of Jay Bruce after signing his long-term deal. It's only on FoxSportsOhio.com, presented by 1-800-SAFE-AUTO and SafeAuto.com.
Somebody wake Hal up so he can answer those emails. Oh, he's moving. Text him right now, or email him right now, folks.
Not surprising. He says when it's promoted on air, he gets bombarded. Pierce in the air to right. There's the Hall of Fame writer, Hal McCoy, on his 39th year covering Reds baseball. Plucking away.
He's got both those index fingers working, doesn't he?
You don't think he's a home row guy?
No, I think he's a two-fingered pecker.
Well, let's see now if Wood can get over Bay.
You know, it looks like this inning, Travis Wood has begun to use his changeup a little bit more. That's what took the power off the fly ball that Neil Walker hit to left field. And he's in a perfect position right here on an 0-2 count. Maybe not to use the changeup to a left-hander, but set him up maybe for the next time.
Got him nicely here in a 1-2-3 third by the lefty Wood. Supports charitable initiatives. We are proud to wear the label pins during our lapel pins during our 2011 MLB on Fox Sports Ohio season in support of Stand Up to Cancer and their work to fund groundbreaking research that helps accelerate treatment to patients. For more information, please visit standuptocancer.org/Fox Sports. Wood leading things off here in the home third. Correa with a strikeout in the game and has allowed one hit. Cedeno throws out the hustling Wood for out number one. Earlier today, actually turned out to be yesterday, the Reds hosted the March of Dimes, March for Babies, here at Great American Ballpark. This was yesterday prior to the afternoon game, and one of our own, Matt Crowley, joined in the march in support of his twin sons, Bryce and Cohen. Helped support the March of Dimes. Boy, they had a big group out here, big crowd, all marched around the warning track through downtown and ended here on the field.
Really a great day for those marchers. For the March of Dimes, it was really a great day.
Stubbs with one man out. He grounded out his first time. Drew trying to keep a 5-game hitting streak alive, extend that if he can. It would be his longest this year. He had a 5-game streak to start the season. He's matched that with the one hit yesterday.
Kevin Correa looks like he's a pretty interesting pitcher. He's got about 4 different pitches that he's using, and he evidently understands what he can and cannot do. Doesn't try to bust the fastball by you in situations where you shouldn't try. Not to say he's not going to make a mistake, but he's mixing them up very nicely.
On the last pitch, he tried to get him outside. This time, he came in on the inside corner.
And he's changing locations, but he's also changing speeds on every pitch. And he's never really allowing the hitter to get comfortable in seeing in a situation where you know what's going to come. Here comes the same thing one pitch. Here comes the very same thing the next pitch. No, it's all mixed up for him. Young man, as we said, from Point Loma, California.
Nice area.
Nice area. In fact, his family, his father and his grandfather, and maybe even beyond that, were all part of the Portuguese tuna fishing fleet that is famous for out there. Back in the day, that was where most of the tuna that was caught in the United States was harvested. And he would tell stories, Kevin would, of his dad back in the day when he enlisted all of his sons to become part of those tuna fishermen, and his father would have to jump into the nets to free dolphin. And in the nets would be squid and shark and everything else, and they'd be able to get the dolphin out and try to get their tuna in.
And he chose baseball over that?
Can you believe that?
I find that hard to believe. Well, he did pitch in San Diego the last 2 years, but elected to sign a free agent contract of 2 years with this Pirates club beginning in 2011.
Last part of that story is his dad's boat was called the Little Mermaid. Now what we really need to do is to have a pitching matchup of Kevin Correa and Jack Tuna Boat Armstrong.
That'd be good.
Right? Wonder what old Tuna Boat's doing.
Your guess is as good as mine.
Yeah. I'm afraid to guess on that one.
Maybe Kevin has a sister named Ariel. That's why it was named Little Mermaid. Renteria draws the first walk issued by Correa. He's on with 2 out. Here's Votto now, and a chance with one big swing to tie this game here in the bottom of the 3rd.
Yeah, that's a good at bat for Edgar Renteria. Anybody who hits in front of Joey Votto and is able to draw a walk has a good at bat. I mean, Kevin Correa has to be pitching with his eye on the on-deck circle, does he not? To know that the league's MVP, a left-handed hitter, is sitting there. He comes to the plate representing the tying run.
And now he's ahead 2-0. Votto with 2 homers on the year. Both have been solo. One on opening day against the Brewers, one out in Arizona. Has that on-base streak still alive for this year. 15 straight, or all the Reds games. Dating back to last year, 32 straight games in which he's reached base. That's by a hit, a walk, or a hit by pitch. Does not include reaching on a fielder's choice, does not include reaching on an error. Which is funny sometimes to fathom, because you see a guy has scored a run, but his on-base streak has come to an end, which is like hard to fathom.
Yeah. Only appropriate you use the word fathom since we're talking about the tuna industry. Little Mermaid.
I try to stay in the same genre.
Interesting at bat, 2-0. Joey Votto, a check swing. You don't see that very often out of him. I mean, usually when he decides in a hitter's count to let it rip, he sees it and lets it go. But he checked that in the previous pitch, and now he's run at the 3-1. Another good hitter's count right here.
He walks Votto, so back-to-back free passes. Will give Scott Rowland an opportunity with 2 on, 2 out.
Boy, Clint Hurdle's got to be thinking in that dugout, what the heck are you doing walking Renteria when you've got Joey Votto and Scott Rowland, the guy that owns you, coming up? And that's what Ray Searage, the pitching coach, will take that message out to the mound and talk to Kevin Correa about.
Correa looked upset himself, as if to say, I know what you're going to say. You're 100% right.
Well, you know, as a pitching coach, you still have to deliver the message. Because you know the manager's going to say, well, what did he say? Although really, you know, in situations like this, it's the catcher that normally boils it down and gets right to the point. And he may look at a pitcher and say, hey, I got an idea for you. How about trying to get this guy before we go 2-0 on him? And because they've said that to every pitcher everywhere, you know, they dumb it down so their pitchers can understand.
So you pitchers understand?
Oh, yeah. Okay. I'll try not to go 2-0. You look up and it counts 2-0 again. Be ready to hit the first pitch, Scott, after 2 walks in a row.
5 for 8 career-wise against Correa, including a double in this game. Looked like it was going to be a relatively routine inning for Correa. Wood grounded out. Stubbs called out on strikes, but then the back-to-back walks to Renteria and Votto, giving the Reds a chance here in the home third.
Misses with a fastball, misses then with a slider. And now 2-0, you're thinking if you're Kevin Correa, what am I going to throw right here? Now, the last pitch that Scott Rowland saw that he liked, he lined for a double. And that was the pitch that was up and out over the plate, just about letter high.
Takes a strike there. That brings up a point from yesterday's game. There was a lot of debate over Stubbs at bat in the 9th inning with the bases loaded, swinging at 2-0 against a relatively wild Joe Hanrahan, wasn't there?
There are a lot of second guessers on that. I said at the time that if it were me, I would have taken the pitch. That was before the pitch was made. But it's up to the individual hitter. I don't think you fault Stubbs, because if he hits the ball in the gap, everybody's congratulating him and never asking why he swung the bat.
Fox Sports Ohio is brought to you by the JTM Food Group, proudly serving America's restaurants, schools, retailers, and our military around the world. JTM Food Group, by your Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky Toyota dealers, where you can register to win the Tundra at Great American Ballpark. By Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Visit us at geico.com or call 1-800-947-AUTO. And by John Deere. Visit your local Cincinnati John Deere dealer this deer season.
3-1 Pirates after 3. Travis Wood, who's gotten more efficient as this game has gone along, works here in the 4th. He had that 42-pitch first inning. Came back and threw only 15 in the 2nd and only a 9-pitch 3rd. 66 going into this frame. Chris Snyder, an RBI single that capped off the scoring in the 1st for the Pirates. That was 4 out of 8 in this series. Move on to Florida for a 3-game series after this one wraps up. The Marlins team has gotten off to a pretty good start at 8-6. Reds stay here. Have the Arizona Diamondbacks in town for 3 beginning tomorrow night. Speaking of, they'll have Armando Galarraga throwing in the first game tomorrow. We spoke of him earlier in that non-perfect game situation with Detroit last year. Then Ian Kennedy will throw Wednesday and Daniel Hudson Thursday. Reds faced both of them out there in Arizona. Snyder with a hit. Time for our AT&T trivia question of the night. Who is the only manager to win the World Series with 2 different National League teams? Only manager to win the World Series, 2 different National League teams. Rolling in on the edge of the grass. Over at third base. Scratching your head going, I need something. Give me something on that trivia question. The hint is it does involve these 2 teams on the field tonight. Daniel 0 for 1. He flied out his first time. 1 hit, 11 trips in this series. Hitting 167 now. He started the series at 188. His only hit came in the first game of the series on Friday night. Pirates will be back in town 1 month from today. They'll play only 2 more games at Great American Ballpark this year, the 18th and 19th of May. Reds will pay 3 visits out there to PNC Park. 18th, 19th, 20th of July, 19th, 20th, 21st of August, 23rd, 24th, 25th of September. So 9 games to play out there. Only 6 here between these 2 teams this year. It was Cedeno who made Wood work so hard to end the first inning, and here he is fouling away pitch after pitch here in the 4th. Renteria can't quite get to it in a base hit.
You know, it looks like tonight that Travis Wood just doesn't have that put-away pitch. He's able to get ahead of the hitters. He's able to get them to reach for certain things. They foul him off, and then when it becomes time to put him away, he gets that slider up just a little bit, and they make solid contact.
So he's given up 2 hits in this inning and now 7 hits in the game.
Yeah, the bad news about this is that you're talking about the 8 and 9 hitters, or the 7 and 8 hitters in the Pirate order. Now it brings up the pitcher, Kevin Correa. Perfect opportunity, first and second, nobody out. You know he's going to lay a bunt down. So the Reds are meeting at the mound. They're going to figure out what kind of defense that they want to play right here. That call comes from Chris Spire on the bench, and figure out whether they'll play it aggressively to try to get that lead runner at third. Remember, the runner at second base is a catcher, Chris Snyder. He doesn't run very well, and it's a forced play at third. So you've got a chance to get the lead runner, and if you play it right, maybe even get a double play.
And it helps, doesn't it, that Wood is a left-hander with a potential throw to third base.
Well, he'll break to the line. Now they're going to charge Scott Rowland, and it won't make any difference on that pop-up. That was a swing play right there. We'll talk about it. The shortstop is going to come running over towards third base. In come the guys from the corner. And so they're designed right there. The pitcher comes right up to shoot. Somebody's going to get that ground ball and feed it over to Edgar Renteria, who will win the foot race between himself and Chris Snyder to third. A lot of teams have really 3 basic plays, maybe 4 plays if you throw in a pickoff move the second. Playing it straight up this time, and that would mean that Joey Votto charges. Scott Rowland holds his ground at third base, and Travis Wood is then responsible for all of this area. Wood has to be responsible for this area here. In comes Votto. They field the ball here, and then you still have Scott Rowland covering third. Key, of course, to that is to have Travis Wood throw a strike, make the batter put the bunt down.
Correa fouled out his first time. He's keeping an eye on that man, Nick Leyva, their third base coach.
Leyva flashes signs to the hitter and the runner. Scott Rowland is the captain of the infield. He's the one who gets the message from signs from the dugout, and then he flashes them around the infield.
Only play to first. Sacrifice executed. 3-4 on the out. Correa gets the job done.
A pretty good bunt right there, because he bunted it right in no man's land, not hard enough. Scott Rowland's going to stay at the bag right here just in case one of these guys, either Travis Wood or the first baseman Joey Votto, is able to get it and fire it over to third base. So despite all the different work that you do in spring training, sometimes the bunt is successful anyway. You know, you can see when you play aggressively, I mean, these runs are very important. You want to get that lead run whenever possible. Now you turn the lineup over and you've got the top of the order.
And the infield has moved in halfway. McCutchen, a pretty good contact hitter. Although he did strike out in the second. They'd love to see a strikeout here with the Reds, or a ball hit right at an infielder.
He's just a little off of his control tonight, Travis Wood is. You know, some nights you pick the ball up and you throw it exactly where you want it. Other nights it's a struggle to get it where you want it. And what he's trying to do is to stay away from the hot zone and the batter's strike zone, where you're going to get walloped on it. So you play a fine line and trying to hit the periphery of the strike zone, but still not giving much to hit.
Hard into left, and Gomes is not going to get it. This is going to produce 2 more Pirate runs. A Snyder and then Cedeno hit the plate. McCutchen with an RBI double, and Pittsburgh has expanded its lead to 5-1.
Well, McCutchen sitting back looking for something. maybe coming right into his wheelhouse, and that's a cutter, an 86-mile-an-hour cutter. And boy, I'll tell you what, after the first night when he went, 0 for 5 with 4 strikeouts, we thought that he was really hitting bottom. Well, he hit bottom then, and he's come back ever since then. He's had a good series overall, had a big series yesterday, and now McCutchen has driven in 2 more to give him a 4-run lead.
Third double, 10 RBIs now for McCutchen on the year. Reds have action in the bullpen. Jordan Smith, been busy through a third of an inning yesterday, is throwing, and here comes Dusty Baker, Reds manager, out of the dugout. Wood sitting at 84 pitches. Well, he has gone good, bad so far this year.
Yeah, he has, and you're looking for a little more consistency out of Travis Wood, but you know, despite how good he was last year, you still have to remind yourself he's a young pitcher. He's still finding his way through the major leagues. He made it look so easy from time to time last year that you were tempted to say this kid's on the verge of being the ace of the staff. But then you realize when you have a game like tonight that he's going to have to learn to struggle through those games when he doesn't have his best stuff. Tonight wasn't his night. Maybe the Reds will be able to come back and get him off the hook.
Reds will make the change. Our skyline call to the bullpen. Wood out. Smith is in. Shortest outing of the season for him. In fact, the shortest outing of his short major league career, only 3 1/3.
Not the kind of line you'd expect out of Travis Wood, especially against a team like the Pittsburgh Pirates, who have really struggled this year against left-handed pitching. But some nights you just really never know. You can take the bookwork and all the theories of the people that are crunching the numbers and you throw them right out the window. If you don't hit your spots, that's what happens. But Jordan Smith, the often used right-hander from Southern Nevada Community College, born in American Fork, Utah, comes into the ballgame for the 9th time already this year. He's already pitched twice in the series against the Pirates, totaling an inning and a third, and has not been scored on yet.
In fact, he has not been scored on since opening day.
Yeah.
Deals with Jose Tabata, who has a hit and a walk to his credit in this one thus far. The only game in this series that the Reds shut down this Pirates team was on Saturday when they won 11-2.
It'll be interesting to see what Jordan Smith has tonight. This is the 3rd day in a row he's pitched. He threw 16 pitches and then 13 pitches in back-to-back days. And this is the test of really to find out what you've got, not necessarily left in your arm, but in your game plan as to how you're going to take whatever stuff you have on the mound and just get hitters out. And that's what Dusty Baker and the Reds need right now. Get out of this inning, get your team off the field, maybe get a crooked number up there against Korea and get some momentum back.
Smith has faced Tabata once in this series, retired him on a ground out. Pirates have produced 2 in the frame. And have McCutchen leading away at second. Telling numbers right there, to be sure. Check swing, and Tabata is out for out number 2.
Well, that's the breaking ball that we've talked about a lot with Jordan Smith. A lot of young kids come up from the minor leagues and they've got good arms and movement on their fastball, and they've got one, for instance, one hard breaking pitch they go with. But Jordan Smith's a little different. He seems to be mature beyond his years in as much as he's able to feather in some different speeds on that breaking ball, something a lot of pitchers don't get until after they're in the big leagues for a few years.
Diaz shoots it out into right. McCutchen will score easily. The Pirates have equaled their first inning 3-run burst with another one here in the 4th.
You know, I was watching Matt Diaz while they were playing in their last series, the Pittsburgh Pirates, and he was really falling off the ball, pulling his left shoulder off, and I think that's probably what the scouting report said, is pitch this guy away because he tries to pull everything. Well, in this game tonight, he's gone the other way with everything he has seen. Base hit to right field, fly ball to right field, and another base hit to right. There's a guy making an adjustment ahead of the scouting report.
Diaz 2 for 3 now in this game, and here's Neil Walker. That hit, by the way, closes the book on Travis Wood, who ends up giving up 6 runs, 8 hits in 3 1/3. He gave up 6 runs 2 starts ago against Arizona. As we mentioned, 3 1/3, the shortest career outing for the 24-year-old Wood. He had gone 4 in a start last year against the Giants on the 24th of August. Diaz talk over there with Joey Votto, Chris, kind of reminds you of Sean Casey, who used to just carry on a big time conversation with everyone over at first base. I don't guess Joey is quite like that.
I see Diaz doing all the talking.
Right.
Joey doing all the listening. If Diaz was smart, it would be the other way around.
He's going. That's called foul.
A throw over that was called by the dugout. If you took a look between or down where between the legs where Ryan Hannigan is given a sign, he kind of gave it a hook 'em horn sign, and that is kind of a universal sign. I'm not giving away any trade secrets right here. And then you kind of flip your thumb and make sure that you get it on over there. And that was another throw over. You know, a lot of teams have done this. They started doing this about 10 to 15 years ago, if not longer ago, where you take the responsibility of trying to shut the running game away from the pitcher and put it on the bench coach. He'll be the guy that calls it over. So the pitcher, all he has to do is worry about pitching. A lot of times, you know, you've got a number of eyeballs in that dugout that are watching that runner or watching the third base coach, and they may think that they picked up a sign or maybe picked up a tendency on the part of the runner. Maybe he's got a little bit extra step. Maybe he's shortened up a lead a little bit. Maybe he's clenching his fist on one pitch and he's not on the other. You know, just a way that he's giving himself away that there might be a play on. Diaz is not necessarily a guy that's going to steal a lot of bases on you, but we've seen this Pirate team be very aggressive at the plate. He's going on this one.
3-2 with 2 men out, 3 runs in. Pittsburgh leading 6-1 here in the 4th. They're trying to get out of town with 3 out of 4. And ball 4. Second walk given to the Pirates in this game. Diaz now in scoring position, and Steve Pearce, who already has a hit and a run batted in, comes up there. Pearce's throwing error led to the lone Reds run back in the 2nd. And here he is at the plate with 2 on and 2 men out in the 4th.
Ball or strike?
Could be a ball.
Where was that one?
Did not see the right arm of Jim Joyce go up.
Man, oh man.
Pearce now in the hole, 1-2. This guy's been up and down between AAA Indianapolis and Pittsburgh every year since 2007. One of their go-to guys. Should there be an injury? Should there be some ineffectiveness? Two years ago, the most at bats he had in a big league season with the Pirates, 165.
You know, for every one of these guys that has been up and down from the minor leagues to the major leagues, then back again, then back and forth, there's 5 of them that are down there that have never had a taste of the big leagues, that are dying for that one cup of coffee, and they're hanging around, and they'll play until they're told to go home.
Hard hit into left will produce still another Pirates run. Pearce gets his 2nd hit and 2nd RBI.
I'll tell you what, he has proved to anybody who wants to know that he can hit a high fastball. I mean, he's a short guy with fairly short arms, and those guys are normally notorious for being able to turn on a high heater. And he does it for the 2nd time tonight. He lays out a line drive to left field. The Pirates are piling on. It doesn't look like Jordan Smith has a lot tonight. And the reason I say that, I don't see him using his breaking ball. A lot of times, you need the same or better arm speed on a breaking ball than you do on a fastball in order to get the break right. And he hasn't gone with it very much, trying to sneak a fastball by Pearce, and wasn't able to do that, even though it came in at 93 miles an hour.
Well, he mentioned he had not been scored on since opening day until tonight. That run charged to Jordan Smith. You were talking, Chris, about Steve Pearce, talking about the other guys that are down there chomping at the bit. If he happens to complain one time, they'll say, I'll take your up and down 1 or 2 times.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that.
Reds have further action in the bullpen. Lefty Matt Maloney, who did such a tremendous job in relief on Friday.
Yeah, I think the whole game plan by Dusty Baker was to bring in Jordan Smith, figuring we'll just get him out of the inning here. Maybe he can get a couple of guys out real quick. We'll get on in here, then we'll turn it over to somebody else to go a few innings and see if we can't get back in the ball game. Best laid plans go awry sometimes.
To the tune tonight thus far of 7-1 Pittsburgh. They about hit the Reds 10-1. Into the corner and off the wall. 1 run in. 2nd run is stopped. That's a 2-base hit for Lyle Overbay, who had fanned his first 2 times. Walker scores and Pearce is at 3rd. This has been a 5-run inning for the Bucks.
I'll tell you what, Lyle Overbay is a professional hitter. There is no question about that. And if you don't go after him with the best stuff that you have, he'll end up dotting you somewhere. He can pull the ball for a home run. He can show you that he can hit the ball the other way. And, you know, I think that Brian Price is out there right now just explaining to Jordan Smith, hey, he goes, we know this is tough. You know, you've got to suck it up out here. We're going to get you out of here, but we want you to get out yourself. Let's get out of this inning right here, right now, and then we'll give you a day off because he's pitched 3 days in a row. But there's not a whole lot you can say as a pitching coach except give him a little encouragement. Just try to get him out of the inning. They have now batted around.
Reds pitchers have already thrown. This is hard to believe, but 104 pitches tonight, and here we are in the 4th inning. Rowland will throw out Snyder and put an end to a bad top of the 4th. The Bucks get 5 and lead 8-1 in the middle of the 4th. There hits the Toyota sign during tonight's game. Pastor Norman Pasley of Westchester, Ohio, currently owns an 07 Camry Hybrid, will win this beautiful new Tundra on display here at Great American Ballpark. Register for your chance to win in an upcoming game by seeing your Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky Toyota dealers. Here's Gomes to lead off the bottom of the 4th. Long way to come back for the Reds in this one, down by 7. Against Kevin Correa, who's walked a pair, struck out a pair, giving the Reds just 1 run unearned and 1 hit. Gomes reached on that aforementioned error by Pierce his first time. He takes a big, strong cut when you think that thing's coming in there as a fastball, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does, but he doesn't bail out doing it. That's the key to Johnny Gomes' success. If you watch him where he sets up in his feet, he's a little bit open with his stance. You see where his feet are kind of open this way, but when he goes to stride, he'll stride right in here towards home plate, thereby bringing his body back into play and good coverage in the strike zone.
Gets it in the air to shallow right. Diaz handles it for the first out in the fourth.
A lot of guys have been doing this with an open stance. You see the line is open right there, but as Johnny Gomes steps, he'll step this way towards the plate a little bit. That way he brings everything back inside. And boy, with his strength, that's a lot of bat speed. That's what it's all about.
He was walking around yesterday, speaking of Gomes, in that terry cloth bathrobe that looks like a boxer's jacket in the clubhouse yesterday, and someone mentioned to him, when's the fight? And he said, it's a fight every day out there.
And he believes it.
McCutchen handles that, and there are 2 out. All right, let's revisit our AT&T trivia question. Who is the only manager to win the World Series with 2 different National League teams? Bill McKechnie, 25 with the Pirates, 1940 with the Reds. He's a Hall of Fame manager, elected to the Baseball Hall of Fame in '62. Also in the Reds Hall of Fame. Bill McKechnie, Pirates and the Reds took them both to a World Series title. As this inning comes to an end, Reds go down in order for the second time tonight.
Is presented by authority of the Cincinnati Reds. It may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Cincinnati Reds.
Take a look at the standings in the National League Central, presented by Honda. They're the Reds, still leading by a game and a half. Cardinals had an opportunity yesterday to get within a half game, but they lost. Cubs, Brewers, Pirates all clumped together 2 games back.
Well, the Cardinals have had some problems with the back end of their bullpen. Ryan Franklin, 4 blown saves, I think, already so far this year. There is some shouting in St. Louis that they're trying to get Tony La Russa to make a move in the back end of that bullpen. Right now, he still deems Franklin as his best choice.
Changes for the Reds. Jeremy Hermida is out in right field, so he makes his Reds debut. Matt Maloney is the new pitcher, and they will flip-flop in the batting order. So Hermida will be due up second in the bottom of the 5th. Matt Maloney takes over.
Well, Matt Maloney had 7 games pitched for the Reds last year, 7 the previous year in 2009 already, now on game number 4. Pitching out of the bullpen is Matt Maloney exclusively this year. He's had 2 pretty good outings. One outing against the Astros on the 5th of April where he pitched an inning of shutout baseball, and then his last time out, the first game of this series, where he pitched 4 innings of shutout baseball. But in between, he was knocked around for 7 runs in an inning and 2/3, and that's why his earned run average is way up there.
What did Dusty say about him on Friday? If we presented game balls here like we did in football, he would have gotten it. Great work he turned in Friday night. Renteria gets to it, but then has it pop out of his glove. Head first slide down there by Ronnie Cedeno. He's on to start the 5th.
Well, you get the feeling sometimes it's just not your night. Guy hits a ground ball, instead of being at your shortstop, it's just beyond his reach when he tries to make a miracle play right there, and it would have been a miracle play to get Cedeno at first.
Good way to break fingers right there. Ask Josh Hamilton about it. Not necessarily fingers, but upper arm. Votto will get it, and out at first is Correa. So he has 2 sacrifice bunts in this game, his first 2 of the year.
Boy, he makes it look easy. Hey, you can really help yourself as a pitcher if you can handle the bat just a little bit.
He certainly did that tonight. He's pitched well. He's handled the bat well, helped himself out from an offensive standpoint.
Matt Maloney is going good. His best pitch is his changeup, and it works great to right-handed hitters. Back-to-back changeups right there. How about that?
He faced McCutchen twice on Friday, struck him out his first time, and McCutchen reached on an error his second time.
Pitches already in this at bat have all been changeups from Matt Maloney, so he realizes how good McCutchen is at turning on that fastball, and you wonder on a 3-1 count now whether he's going to challenge him.
He loses him, so each pitcher the Reds have put out there tonight has walked the batter. This is just not the Pirates team, I guess, that we really expected to come in based A, on their history, and B, what they had been doing prior to coming in here.
And it's not the Reds pitching staff that we expected to see in this series against a team that had struggled offensively before they came into Cincinnati. They were really having a hard time scoring runs, and they had guys that were mired deep in slumps, and they have come out of it big time this weekend.
The Reds have averaged 6 runs a game in this series. The Pirates 5 coming into tonight. You expect that kind of offense from the Reds. Didn't expect it from this Pittsburgh team, but boy, they have come out swinging. Already produced 8. We're only in the 5th. Tabata has been on twice, a walk and a double. right out in front of the plate, and Jim Joyce calls it foul. Hannigan pounced on it, but it just dribbled the foul.
Yeah, Ryan tried to get that ball before it spun back foul. The ball comes off the bat around there, and even though the line stops at the batter's box, it's still fair or foul depending on the angle. You just take that line straight down. It was clearly a foul ball, but Hannigan trying to get to it before it spun foul.
It's that changeup you're talking about, and Tabata hit it right off the end of the bat.
That changeup is good enough for Matt Maloney to back it up, pitch after pitch. And there's the changeup again, and how about that? Another Pirate hit.
Well, like you said earlier, the ball is just not bouncing the Reds' way tonight.
Make a good pitch, you think you're going to get a good result from it. Doesn't always happen. And that's a pretty good location right there, down and away, just off to the end of the strike zone. And Matt Maloney's wondering, what do I have to do here? Ronnie Cedeno with an infield hit. A walk to McCutchen, another infield hit to Tabata. Now the big part of the lineup.
Diaz has himself a pair of hits tonight already.
Yeah, the hits by Diaz really out of character for him, or at least the guy that we remember Matt Diaz as beating, which is a guy who swings just like what we saw right there. I mean, he lets it rip. He's the Pirates' version of Johnny Gomes as far as letting it rip at a high fastball. But both of his hits have been little shots over to right field, just taking what the pitcher will give him.
In case you're wondering, they have one grand slam this year. That was by Neil Walker. Diaz does not have a major league grand slam.
Like it was a cutter that got him right on the back knee. Maybe it was a slider after throwing him a couple of fastballs in the bat, going to work him down and in. The idea is to throw this ball at the back foot. Figuratively, not literally, that ball gets him right above the knee and forces in a run.
One way or another, the Pirates are scoring tonight. Get that one on a bases loaded hit by pitch. 2 RBIs for Diaz in this game. Here's Neil Walker, the aforementioned Pirate who has their only grand slam this season. It came against the Cubs on the 1st of April. Oh, he caught that ball, or no, on one hop. They get one and they get them both. Nice job of fielding his position by Matt Maloney to end the top of the 5th inning. Look at this one. Saturday, April the 30th, the Reds take on the Florida Marlins. Be one of the first 30,000 here in attendance and receive a Joey Votto MVP bobblehead, courtesy of PNC. Get tickets to see the Reds and the Marlins. 513-381-REDS, or visit Reds.com today. That's Saturday, April the 30th. Joey Votto MVP bobblehead. Hannigan in the air. And McCutchen handles it for the first out.
Hey, Reds fans, if you're in the restaurant industry, well, listen up. Let JTM Food Group help you with great tasting products for your menu. Inspired solutions, better results, JTM.
Here's Jeremy Hermida making his Reds debut, called up today from Louisville. Non-roster free agent, invited to spring training, did not make the club, agreed to go down to AAA, where he did a very good job. Played every day, save one pinch hit appearance down there. He hit .333, 2 home runs, 9 RBIs in 10 games, 11 out of 33. Called up today when Juan Francisco placed on the DL with a strained left calf, an injury that occurred here on Saturday.
Pretty good all-around player is Jeremy Hermida. Had 3 years in which he's hit double digits in home runs. High water mark for runs batted in was his 3rd major league season with 63.
And his first Reds AB ends in a strikeout.
Yeah, Kevin Correa's really got it working. I mean, he is working the ball both sides of the plate, getting it move either way. Takes a little bit off the fastball right there. That's not quite a changeup, it looks like, but it looks like kind of almost a dead fish pitch where you throw it up there and it just fades away just as it gets to home plate.
So Stubbs bats with the bases empty. He's 0 for 2 tonight, 5 out of 16 in the series. Reds just haven't been able to get anything going. Went down in order in the first, left 2 on in the third, down in order in the fourth, and it looks like they will do the same here in the fifth as McCutchen takes charge, makes the play, and another 1-2-3 frame, 7 in a row by Kevin Correa. Go this season. Subscribe to MLB.tv today to see every Reds game live or on demand on your computer and your favorite devices. With MLB.tv Premium, you can enjoy HD quality, home and away coverage, multi-game view, and the ability to pause and rewind live games. Visit Reds.com to order and get more details. That's MLB.tv, baseball everywhere. Matt Maloney back to work. Steve Pearce, who's 2 out of 3 with a pair of RBIs, is a man that he faces to get things going. Appears to be followed by Overbay and Snyder. 5, 6, 7 in the Pirate order. They scored 3 in the first against Travis Wood, meaning they've scored 7 runs in the first inning in the last 2 nights, the last 2 games. They scored 5 in the fourth, 1 in the fifth. Their season high in runs was 7 coming into this game, so this is a season high in runs for them. Trying to get back to the 500 mark. Did he go? Yes, he did. Pierce is out. That's a strikeout to start the 6th. Pirates have been as many as 2 games above 500 on 3 occasions this year. Last time at 5 and 3. Trying to get back to the 500 mark with a win tonight. And as things look at this juncture, on their way to that with a 9-1 lead.
When you watch Lyle Overbay set up, he sets up very similar to the setup of Johnny Gomes. Wide stance when he starts out, but where he gives himself a little better vision. That's one of the reasons why hitters like to do that. He'll start that and then see how he opens his foot up, and when he finally gets his ready step to get ready to hit, he'll bring that foot right back towards home plate. And really the reason for that is not necessarily the feet, but when you're wide at the start, your eyes are both pointing towards the pitcher. Instead of trying to see the ball out of one eye, just the front eye, you turn your head better and you can judge the depth and the speed of the ball a little bit better. And then when you bring your body back around and step towards the plate, it gives you good plate coverage. Guy's been around a while. Lyle Overbay has. Broke in with the Arizona Diamondbacks in 2001. Was there for 3 years. A couple of years with the Milwaukee Brewers. Last 4 years. Plus with Toronto Blue Jays.
Wow, right off the leg of Maloney, and that's going to be a hit. Joey had it come towards him. Appears that Matt's going to be all right. That thing ricocheted right off his leg and over toward first.
Taking it right back through the middle. A little Schinberger on the backside.
How many different ways are the Pirates going to get a hit tonight?
Yeah, we've seen a lot of them. It was kind of a quirky game yesterday. There were so many different weird plays in that, and we've seen so many different weird ways they've been able to get on base. Seems like the Reds hit a ball softly, it's a can of corn. The Pirates hit a ball softly, and it's a base hit. Hang with them.
All even out over the course of 6 months, I guess, right?
That's what they say.
Snyder, a pair of hits and an RBI. He's had a good series. This is his first full series of the year. He now has 5 hits in 10 at-bats in this series.
Well, he's a .229 career hitter, and he's hitting against the Reds like he's Ted Williams.
Seats. Maloney now ahead of Snyder, the Pirates catcher, with 1 out. Mentioned that Diamondback series coming up starting tomorrow night. 7-10 games. San Liqueur will go against Armando Galarraga. Despite a high ERA, has started 2-0 for the D-backs. He did not pitch against the Reds out there. Bronson Arroyo will go in the Wednesday night game, looking for his third win against Ian Kennedy. Mike Leake at 2-0 will pitch against Daniel Hudson on Thursday afternoon in the getaway game before the Reds are off to St. Louis in their first encounter with the Cardinals of the year. Snyder out on strikes. So Matt Maloney not away from completing his second inning worth of work here tonight. Deals with Ronnie Cedeno. One hit in the first 3 games of 2, both singles here tonight. Cedeno again, making the pitcher, whomever it is on the mound for the Reds, work. He made Wood work in the first. He had him going again in the 4th. Now against Maloney here in the 6th inning. Got him on strikes, and Maloney gets 3 strikeouts in the inning. Middle of the 6th, 9-1 Bucks. Sixth inning. Time now for the Coors Light Freeze Cam. Reds fans, how do you forget this play by Glenn Braggs and Wright in Game 6 of the NLCS? Taking a hit away from a disgusted Carmelo Martinez. Reds won that game 2-1. Won the series 4-2. That's our Coors Light Freeze Cam of the night, brought to you by Frost Brewed Coors Light.
You know, and on the Winter Caravan a couple of years ago, when Glenn Braggs was on our leg of the caravan, great guy, first of all. Number two, he looks like he can still play. I mean, you talk about a guy blessed with a body, and he was asked about that catch 1,000 times in 4 days. It was just a fun thing to have him just relive that. Great guy. What a play.
I bet he didn't get tired of talking about it.
No, he didn't either. He was a wonderful ambassador for the Reds during that trip. That was one of the that was the Rockstar Tour, going through the southern leg.
Well, there you guys go again, that Rockstar stuff.
That was those guys. Now I got traded to another Cool Guy Tour.
Snyder gets called off of that ball by Overbay, and Snyder almost tripped all over himself getting out of the way, but he did, and Renteria is retired for the first out.
Well, we've seen a lot of pop-ups and a lot of real easy outs for the Pirate defense. The only two balls that I remember really being hit hard, Ryan Hannigan hit a line drive to the left fielder, and of course Scott Rowland's double was sizzled pretty good. But other than those two, at least by my memory, everything has been kind of a routine out.
You talk about Glenn Braggs being asked 1,000 times about that catch, and Tom Browning with us on the caravan this year, and he's constantly asked about A, the perfect game, and B, going into the bleachers across the way, or the stands across the way at Wrigley Field. And he loves talking about those things.
Yes, he does.
Kevin Correa has been pitch efficient, hasn't he?
Well, you know, we talked about that coming into the ball game tonight, about how we really had a matchup, according on paper, of two pitchers that are very pitch efficient. Kevin Correa came into the ball game tonight ranked 3rd in the league in least number of pitches per inning, and Travis Wood was number 11. I think Wood's numbers will go up, and Correa's numbers will go down.
Quick 6 for Correa against the Redlegs. His team leads by 8.
Was brought to you by AT&T, by Cincinnati Children's, in the top 10 for all selected pediatric specialties in U.S. News and World Report's 2010 Best Children's Hospitals, by your Cincinnati Northern Kentucky Honda dealers. Visit mycincinnatihondadealer.com for current offers, and by Wendy's. You know when it's real.
Kevin Correa leads things off for the Pirates in inning number 7. He has been all over it tonight at the plate. More specifically on the mound. Held the Reds to 1 run and only 1 hit. That hit was a double by Rowland to start the second. helped himself at the plate with 2 sacrifice bunts. There's the first out now in the 7th on a fly ball to left. Bearcat Bowl 5, a 1-hour special looking at the Cincinnati Bearcats football program, premieres on Thursday at 8 p.m. Hear from head coach Butch Jones as well as current and former Bearcat players about the program and its future. Plus, get an inside look at the recently played spring game. That's Thursday at 8 here on Fox Sports Ohio. Andrew McCutchen, 1 for 3 with a walk. Throws out the speedy McCutchen, and so Matt Maloney, although he did allow a run in the 5th, held him without anything in the 6th and gets the first 2 in the 7th.
Well, you can see with Matt Maloney as a long reliever the insight and see him as a starter. You can see him kind of settling in a little bit, beginning to get his breaking ball working some more, getting a good feel of his changeup. The challenge for a guy that's been a starter nearly his entire career in the minor leagues and the few times that he's pitched in the big leagues is, how do you convert to being a reliever? And there's a lot more to it than just figuring out how to warm up fast. Oftentimes as a reliever you're coming in to get one batter out or get out of the inning, and it means having all of your stuff, your pitches working right then and there. When you're a starter, sometimes you have the luxury of working through the lineup a time or two before you figure out exactly what's working and what's not.
He went 4 innings on Friday, 2 days off, and back in there in long relief here tonight. Looking for a 1-2-3 inning. Jose Tabata stands in the way of that. He's 2 for 3 with a walk. Again tonight, everyone in the Pirate lineup, save the pitcher, has at least 1 hit. They've collected 14. Pittsburgh collected 14 hits on Friday in their 6-1 win. 14 thus far tonight with 2 out in the 7th. Sure, Clint Hurdle feels like they've got a little momentum going down to Miami. Series with the Marlins that begins tomorrow.
Well, for a team that struggled so mildly on the road as they did last year, a lot of players that are on this Pirate team were on the team last year. Of course, Hurdle's new. Some of the coaches are new. But to win a series, if they win 3 out of 4 here in Cincinnati and they go on the road, and then go further down to Miami, you're talking about just really bubbling at the seams with confidence, something that they're not used to at all based on what they did the last few years.
for the Redlegs against Kevin Correa. His starts this year, he's gone 6, 7, and 6+. He works into the 7th here tonight with a comfortable 8-run lead, and Johnny Gomes offers it the first one and pops it up. Struggling over there was Pierce, but he stayed with it for the out. Pitcher spot due up. Heisey will bat for Matt Maloney, so the Reds will employ a new pitcher come the top of the 8th. Heisey bats for Maloney, who gives the Reds 3 innings out of the bullpen tonight in relief of Travis Wood. In effect, he followed Jordan Smith. Smith finished up the 4th, and then Maloney came on, gave up 1 run and 3. Hard into left, but caught by the left fielder Tabata. So there are quickly 2 men out. Throughout this series, you may have noticed the star with a number 7 inside of it on all the Pirates jerseys. That patch is honoring the late Chuck Tanner, passed away on the 11th of February this year. It's enclosed in the Stargell Star. Remember, they used to give out the stars back in the late 70s for positive contributions to games that the Pirates did. And there's Chuck. Remember those hats? Those were very popular amongst not only the Pirates, but around Major League Baseball. But the Pirates really started it. Chuck Tanner, 9 years, the Pirates manager, won over 700 games, including that We Are Family World Series in 1979.
And one of the all-time nice guys in baseball. We used to see him after his days as a manager was over. He would be hanging around down the Sarasota area. He would be just about at every one of those Reds games. Because he lived in the area. Of course, the Pirates are right down the road in Bradenton, and gone but not forgotten. Chuck Tanner.
Another 1-2-3 inning, 4th in a row by Correa, who's now retired 13 straight. Cold, hard blast. Take a look at Pittsburgh Pirate left fielder Jose Tabata. That's the blast that came in the first inning yesterday against Edson Volquez, following the home run by McCutchen. Tabata in this game has 2 hits, and in the series he has 7 hits now in 19 ABs. A heck of a series for Jose Tabata. The Pittsburgh Pirates are Coors Cold Hard Blast.
4th pitcher of the night is Nick Bassett. Pretty good job by his predecessor, Matt Maloney, who came in under tough circumstances but pitched 3 innings of 3-hit, 1-run baseball and struck out 3 overall. Nick Bassett, well, trying to get it together. This will be game number 7. Of course, Bassett is the main setup guy to Francisco Cordero, the closer, and he's been on some tough times. So you're going to get him an inning in here. See if he can't get it all back together. For the most part, it's Massett throwing the ball down the center of the plate after having a superb year last year. Massett struggling out of the gate this year.
Reds have a number of changes. Chris Heise, who pinch hits, stays in the game in center. Miguel Cairo moves from second to first. Edgar Renteria from short to second. Paul Giannis is in the game at shortstop. And Nick Massett is on the mound. Joey Votto is out of the game, and Matt Diaz bats here to start the 8th. Renteria gets an opportunity at second and will throw Diaz out. Thursday afternoon, take a break from the office. Enjoy lunch with the Reds during the next Paycor Business Day game. Enjoy a special $25 price for seats in our all-you-can-eat section. These seats include unlimited ballpark fare, hot dogs, popcorn, peanuts, and sodas, all for one low price. For tickets, call 513-381-REDS or visit Reds.com. So the Reds defensively have Gomes, Heise, Hermida in the outfield. Roland, Giannis, Renteria, and Cairo third to first. Hannigan still catching and Nick Massett pitching. He worked an inning in the game here on Saturday. Walked one, struck out two. Question, this team's going to be successful. This guy has to get it going.
Well, he got it going last year. There was no question about that. I mean, he struggled a little bit out of the gate in 2010, if you want to remember about that. And, you know, nobody's perfect. But you got to remember that Nick Massett has pitched a lot in the last couple of years. He's pitched over 70 games in 2009 and over 80 games, I believe, in last year. So, you know, I'm not saying he's tired early on. He's just missing his spots and just not quite in the groove yet. But because he has a track history, you got to stick with him.
That guy at first, Walker, been in a groove. He has 2 hits now in this game and 5 hits in the series, including a home run. He's walked 5 times in this series, so he's had a lot of time on the bases. Steven Pearce making the most of his first start of this series. Has a couple of hits, couple of RBIs.
When you start comparing the starts of Massett last year in 2010 with this year, right now he's got an earned run average somewhere around 8.5. Last year at this time, if you look at, say, April the 20th, his earned run average was 14.4. And it went down a little bit, and it went up a little bit. And it really wasn't until sometime later in May that he really began to go lights out, and he became the go-to guy. In fact, a lot of people were in the second half of the year calling for Nick Massett to be the closer.
Yeah, they sure were.
And are they the same people right now that are calling for him to be pulled out of being the setup guy? Those are the kind of, you know, the comments that Dusty Baker, that dugout so close to Reds fans sitting up there who want him to win, are yelling at him all the time. Hey, Dusty, are you watching the same game as us? Get him out of there. Well, it's a long haul, as you said early on.
He got so good, Massett did last year, that he had ERA of under 1 in both July and August. Virtually untouchable.
Yep.
John Bowker will bat for Lyle Overbay here in the 8th inning. Overbay with a couple of hits tonight, 4 hits in the series. Bowker has pinch hit a couple of times in this set. Pinch hit yesterday and had an RBI double, part of a 2-run 6th inning, that after the Reds had taken the lead in the 5th, his double gave the Pirates the lead back at 6-5. Also pinch hit, flied out on Saturday. There's 1 for 2 in this series. Action in the Reds pen. Aroldis Chapman. A lot of talk about him as of late, due to the fact that his last outing, which was that one out in San Diego, when he worked only 1/3 of an inning, threw a ball away in a pickoff attempt at first, appeared to have an injury situation, chastised somewhat by Ramon Hernandez in the Reds dugout out in San Diego for not letting the people know, the proper authorities, Dusty and Brian Price, know that he might have been hurting a little bit. Hasn't pitched in this series. Is throwing in the bullpen now. Dusty alluded to the fact yesterday that everyone was talking about his team being 2 players down, with Phillips unable to perform and Francisco the same, but he said, really, I was 4 players down, because I couldn't use Maloney and I couldn't use Chapman.
Yeah, you know, I think what you try to do is keep some of that quiet so the opposition doesn't know that, especially late in the ball game. Now, they can surmise that Maloney wouldn't be available just based on what the innings he pitched the other night. But, you know, keeping Chapman's injury, or at least downplaying it to the point where it's a secret, maybe making light of the fact that maybe Brandon Phillips could play, when deep in your heart you know he's not going to. What you don't want with Phillips is to have that groin injury, you know, tear off the bone or get something real serious to the point where he's going to miss a lot of time.
That is by and large Dusty's answer whenever he is asked about it each day.
You got no other. I mean, Dusty's been around a long time. He's had the same type of injury. He's been through it as a player. He's been through it as a batting coach, and now as a manager with several different teams. He's not going to be talked into something he doesn't want to do.
You know, that guy wants to get out there and play. Nice pick there by Hannigan. Save a wild pitch.
Save Jim Joyce. He was happy that he picked it. Going on that 3-2 pitch, and Masson misses.
So he's given up a hit and a pair of walks here in the 8th inning. And here comes Brian Price again out of the dugout.
Hey, let's take a look at the improvement that the Pirates have made and why they're so good on the road this year compared to being at home. At home, they're 1-5. I mean, they're off to a bad start there. Batting average under 180. Their earned run average is really all not that bad. They're just not hitting. But when they get on the road, what a difference Clint Hurdle's team has been this year from last year. They're 6-3, not including the lead they have tonight. Batting average is up above the major league average, and earned run average is well below. So they pitch better, they've hit better, and they like that room service. They'll be heading to Miami after the game tonight. Take on a set with the Marlins.
You brought up, I think it was you, Chris, brought up an interesting fact early in the series, but maybe they play better on the road because the atmosphere these days is a little better.
You know, I asked a couple of the Pirates that in their clubhouse today, and they didn't want to admit it. Of course, a lot of these guys haven't been there for 19 years, which what is that's a streak of the losing?
18 straight years.
18 straight years.
Right at Giannis.
Nothing they can do about it, though. They realize they've got to go out and play, but they're the ones that can change it.
Middle of the 8th, 9-1 Pittsburgh. For Reds Live, the place with the most comprehensive highlights of your Cincinnati Reds. Plus, hear from Dusty Baker, the stars of the game before anywhere else. That's Reds Live post-game, brought to you by King's Honda, the King's Auto Mall. Visit KingsHondaUSA.com. Ryan Hannigan to get it going in the bottom of the 8th. Nothing out of 2. He hit one ball hard tonight. But Kevin Correa has had 4 consecutive innings in which he has not had to throw more than 8 pitches. 8 in the 4th, 8 in the 5th, 6 in the 6th, 6 in the 7th. 28 pitches over the course of the last 4 innings.
Well, you know, that's a sign of a guy that's got to figure it out. He's 30 years old, that Kevin Correa. You know, you get your lumps, you get knocked around first few years in the major leagues. He's been a couple of different places now. Now he finds himself in Pittsburgh, and he realizes that it's all about changing speeds, hitting your spots, keeping the batters off balance, and going with your strengths and not trying to force things. So many young pitchers just try to rear back and force the ball by big leaguers. They could do it in AA. They might be able to do it in AAA. You can't do it here. And Kevin Correa's got to figure it out.
He has set down 13 Reds in a row, working here in the 8th, and depending on how this inning goes for him, he would more likely than not be back out there. He fields his position well here and will throw out Hannigan for the 14th straight that he has retired.
Well, you got to be able to field your position on those balls that come back to you. Now, he falls off a little bit towards first base, but not so much that he can't right himself and catch a ball that's going right over the top of the mound.
Friday night we saw Charlie Morton get only the second complete game of his career. And if Kevin Correa works into the 9th and gets the job done, it would be just his second career complete game. His only other one coming on September the 25th, 2009 against the Arizona Diamondbacks. He had a shutout in that one in a 4-0 win. He is rolling along tonight. Jeremy Hermida struck out his first time. That's for the second time tonight. Again, in case you missed it, called up today from Louisville to replace Juan Francisco on the roster. He was not on the Reds 40-man, so they had to make room for him, and to do that they placed Jared Burton, right-handed pitcher who started the season on the DL, on the 60-day disabled list. Burton began the year on the DL with right shoulder inflammation. Left his last outing in spring training. There's a drive. Deep to right, but going to stay in the park. Off the bat, it looked like it was way out of here. Diaz got it.
Well, the first one that has even come close by a Reds hitter, Correa, wishing that ball back in. Stay in here. And not too many balls that are hit that hard and that high end up staying in this ballpark.
No, boy, you were dead on right there. No wind at all tonight, unlike the early games of this series where it was howling. So here he is, a batter away now, Correa, in his 5th straight and his 6th overall 1-2-3 inning. Paul Janisch bats for the first time. Took over at shortstop. Renteria moved to second. When Cairo moved over to first. Joey Votto left the game. And that snaps the streak for Kevin Correa. He had retired 15 in a row, broken up by Giannis for that single. Renteria, nothing out of 2, plus a walk tonight. That hit, the second hit of this game by the Reds. The other was that double by Roland. Cedeno will get to it, and a nice flip to retire Janisch and end the bottom of the 8th inning. So the Reds have left 4 on in the game and have only picked up 2 hits. Reds battle the Cardinals. Be one of the first 20,000 fans in attendance to receive a one-of-a-kind Sparky Anderson bronze statue, courtesy of John Morrell. For tickets to the Reds and the Cardinals, call 513-381-REDS or go to Reds.com today. Sparky's retired number 10, just below the press level. That's John Fay from the Cincinnati Enquirer there in the top right of your picture. Beat writer for the Enquirer, covers the Redlegs.
Well, the guy, a lot of people will stay around in a blowout game just to hope that he comes into the ball game. Flame-throwing Aroldis Chapman comes in, 7th game for Aroldis. He sat out the last few games after pitching a few days back-to-back in San Diego. And that fastball of his was down around the low to mid-90s. And, you know, they saw that they had questioned him. They found out they had a little shoulder problem, a little tenderness in his shoulder. So they've sat him down the last 4 days trying to get him some rest. And we'll see how he throws tonight.
Well, they worked the last 2 games in the Diamondback series out there. Didn't work in the first game at San Diego. Worked the last 2 games in San Diego, and he was like good, bad, as you say.
Well, good, bad as far as velocity or as far as getting hitters out?
As far as getting hitters out and getting ahead of hitters. Walked 3 in 1 inning in the second outing in San Diego.
Still unscored upon?
Still on, well, 1 unearned run he allowed in that game at San Diego.
I kind of like the comment that he made. Now he's back up to 100 miles an hour, so that should be a big sigh of relief for everybody in the general manager's box up there watching Chapman pitch. I like what he said. He says, you know what, even if I don't throw hard, I still have to have a good inning. And I love that attitude. I mean, I don't want to see Aroldis Chapman start backing off, throwing 91 miles an hour and start hitting the spots. But I do want him to mature as a pitcher to the point where he can go back-to-back days and pitch and still be effective.
Yeah, they realistically need him to be able to do that if they're going to use him all year out of the pen.
Well, you know, that was one of the problems over the last couple of years with this bullpen. They had to make sure that there were guys in there that could pitch for back-to-back days. Arthur Rhodes was one that they had to take a lot of care with at his age. He gave the Reds superb baseball. I mean, you couldn't have asked for any more than what Arthur did. But you got to be careful how often you used him, because you wanted him to be extra strong, and you really couldn't use him 3 days in a row. Well, a younger guy with less wear and tear on his arm, you hope that he can answer the bell 3 days in a row, the same way that Jordan Smith did tonight.
Let's not forget that Arthur was going out there most of the year with that foot issue that he had last year.
Kevin Correa would just, I think, hope that this at-bat is over.
His mind is set for the bottom of the 9th inning.
He's up there hacking, though. Fouled off a 100-mile-an-hour fastball.
You know, Chris, when Arthur Rhodes left and went to Texas, most folks said in their mind, well, Aroldis Chapman will fill that role. But truth be told, it's really Bill Bray who's filling that role.
Well, yeah, the situational left-hander, yes. I think they have hopes that Aroldis Chapman will work more into an overall setup role. I mean, because when you bring in the fastball that is, you know, on the radar gun here, 103 miles an hour on that last pitch, it doesn't matter whether you're right-handed or left-handed. Bill Bray is a guy who's that one batter situational lefty. He'll come in to get the lefty out. Oh, toothpicks for sale.
Well, Correa did not swing and miss, I don't believe, while he was up there at all. He hung right in there, as you say. Calling all kids on Sunday, May the 1st. Be one of the first 10,000 fans, 14 and younger, to receive Reds mascot wall stickers, thanks to Tire Discounters. For tickets to see the Reds battle the Marlins, call 513-381-REDS or visit Reds.com today. So Chapman gets the leadoff man. Now Andrew McCutchen gets a look at it. Third year in the big leagues for Andrew McCutchen. I really like this guy. He's had a big series, as Chris said, on that first day, Friday, struck out 4 times. But he has really come alive since then. That would be a new record for the hardest pitch ever thrown. He set the mark last year just over 105. That one on the gun said 106.
He's feeling better. Take another look at that Navy record-breaking pitch, the 106.
McCutcheon reacted after that ball was by him, didn't he? 106.
Seared his face on the way by.
Got him at a mere 102.
Well, you go up the ladder like that, and of course you're geared to really swing the bat at just about anything you see. Got to get that bat going if you're going to catch up to an Aroldis Chapman fastball.
Certainly it's a topic of conversation amongst any group of hitters to see what the pitcher is throwing when they come back to the dugout. But is it different with this guy when they come back? What's it like up there? What's he throw? Is it a little different because he throws so darn hard?
Well, I think that they'll come back and say gas.
1-2-3, ninth inning for Aroldis Chapman. Hot dog play of the game. Reds got it done in the 5th. Look at Maloney like a goaltender. A 1-2-3 inning-ending double play in inning number 5. The John Merrill hot dog play of the game. And Maloney does indeed breathe a sigh of relief, and there's the man who just uncorked one at 106. Aroldis Chapman with Andrew McCutcheon at the plate. I don't know that there was a pitch he threw in that half inning that did not hit triple digits. It appeared as if every pitch did. So here's Ramon Hernandez batting for Chapman in the bottom of the 9th inning. Correa going for the 2nd complete game by a Pirates starter in this series. His 2nd career complete game to match the number that Charlie Morton got his 2nd on Friday. has earned in his career. Hard hit, nicely done by Hernandez on a base hit. Hey, Reds fans, right here, right now, this weekend, book your trip at CincinnatiUSA.com. Here's Roland. He had the first of the 3 Reds hits tonight, a double early on, back in the second. Will this stay in play? Right near the railing over there. A nice effort as that ball is grabbed by Bowker for the out. Here's Gomes. Pirates looking for the double play. They've turned a couple in this series. They're looking to go 3-1 to start this road trip and to win their 7th road game of the year. Tonight has reached on an error. Drew Stubbs' 5-game hitting streak, by the way, ended tonight. Jay Bruce had hit in 4 in a row. That streak comes to an end tonight. Joey Votto would reach base in all 15 games. He walked in the 3rd, so that streak continues into the Diamondback series tomorrow. McCutchen has a beat on it. 2 out. Chris Heisey, who pinch hit in the 7th and lined out, stayed in the game to play center. Stands between that man, Kevin Correa, and his 2nd career complete game and his 3rd win of this year. Right now they're looking at a 2-year, $8 million deal. Is a pretty good deal for this guy.
Well, the Pirates had, what, 1 complete game last year with the one that Charlie Morton threw on Friday night. And if Correa can get through this batter, or at least get through this inning, that'll be 2 complete games already for the Pittsburgh Pirates. They had 1 the entire season last year.
This would be 2 in 16 games.
Amazing.
Heisey sends it high and deep and gone. Second of the year for Heisey.
Boy, he just goes down and gets that ball, puts a good swing on it. He had a hard ball the first time up when he came to bat in the 7th inning. Sent the left fielder Tabada to the wall, and this time nobody's going to catch it.
Trying to get a little mojo to keep that thing in the ballpark like he did earlier on in the 8th inning, and the ball hit by Hermida. Didn't work that time. Miguel Cairo, nothing out of 3 in this game. Made his 4th straight start tonight. Breaks his bat and is thrown out by Pierce. And here those Pirates taking 3 of 4 from the Reds in this series at Great American Ballpark. A series that for Pittsburgh includes 2 complete games. 2 complete games by the Pirates, one by Charlie Morton, now this one by Kevin Correa.
Well, they beat the Reds in all facets of the game in this series, really. I mean, you have to go back and give them some credit for the way they played in yesterday's ball game, but the way that Correa pitched in the final game of the series and what Charlie Morton did to the Reds in the first game of the series. Tell you what, don't go to sleep when you're playing these Pittsburgh Pirates. They are come to battle. They believe in themselves right now. I'm just as happy to see them leave town right now. Not with 3 wins, but certainly get on out of town, bring somebody else in, and see if the Reds can't get back some momentum.
Well, they sent it to the Reds today, 9-3 the final.